Welcome to Wealth Talk. We're here with a very special guest today, and as you know, in Wealth Talk, we like to go over the aspects of the map book in the Focus 11. We have 11 aspects to focus on wealth, and one of those main aspects is mental. And we actually have an expert in that field. We have Simone Walsh. She's actually an author and she's an entrepreneur, and she's very involved in her community to bring the awareness of mental health. And Simone, thank you for coming to Wealth Talk.
Thank you for having me. I don't know if I'd call myself like an expert, but I'm an advocate. I'm very passionate about mental health, and I bring awareness by sharing my story in the community and letting others know that they too can get through a mental illness diagnosis. So
okay, so let's get into that. And sharing your story is very important, and we want to get into the story. So if we could go all the way back, where were you born? What was life like growing up? If you could share that with us.
That's how far we're going back.
Yeah, that's how we have to know the journey, to see how we got to where we are now.
Well, I was born in Jamaica. I migrated to Canada, I guess 1990. My parents brought me and my brother here. Okay. So we were very young. So I grew up here in Canada.
At what age?
I would say I was 9 when I came.
Okay.
So
in Jamaica, with that 9 years, like, what was it like in Jamaica? Like, because I know I've been to Jamaica, went for my honeymoon, I loved it, first off, but it's very people oriented, right? So if you could explain, like, even just as a kid, just coming up, what was it like before you got here? We're gonna get to here, but I want to know, like, what was it like in Jamaica before you came to Canada?
As a child growing up in Jamaica, it's very different than what it is now. Very strict. You had to wake up, go to school, do your chores, do your homework. The lifestyle was very, very different growing up. So you saw your family in town, depending on the celebration, the holidays. You had time to play with your friends, stuff like that, but only when you did your chores and your schoolwork. So I found it very strict growing up in Jamaica, but there were still some fun sides of it as well.
Okay, nice. So you're in Jamaica, and then what happened? Like, why did you guys decide to come to Canada?
Well, my parents were already here.
Okay.
So they sent for me and my brother. They're like, time for you guys to come and join us.
Are you younger or older?
I'm the oldest, and then my other brother that follows me is the middle child.
Okay.
There's 3 of us.
Okay.
And so they sent for us. They came here to make a way for us and to create a better life. So they were prepared. They established that. So they sent for us. We came to Canada on a plane. First time on a plane. Then we got here, and we came in winter, so just coming to Canada in winter was very different. We've never experienced snow, never experienced that. So we were like, oh my gosh, what is this? So that was our first.
Were you bundled up or?
Yeah, they brought a coat at the airport first. My dad came, gave us jackets, and we put it on. We're like, what is happening? But when we saw the snow outside, we ran outside, and they were running after us like, no, that's not how it works. We got used to the weather after that. But
okay, because I know as kids, with the snow, we play in it and all that. So that was your first instinct?
That was our first instinct, to just play in the snow.
Nice. And then from there, you guys had like a place set up, like because the transition, like when you guys came to Canada, how was it like? Did you accustom to it right away, or what did it take some time to adapt?
Yeah, it took some time to adapt, especially with our language. We were still speaking broken language, as they call it, and my parents were like, you gotta lose that fast, because you're in a new country. So if adults would speak to us, we were still speaking the broken language, broken English, and they were like, listen, you gotta change that. So it took us a while, but once we started going to school and being around other children, we started to adapt to the English.
Yeah.
And that was able to help us, to speak to adults, to speak to other children. So.
And when you came, was there a culture shock, like in terms of because obviously here is diverse, and like, did you have that culture shock? Do you remember any moments where it's like where it settled in that like, okay, I'm in a different country?
It was the weather that did it for us, because it changed. We thought it was always going to be cold, but then it got warmer, spring, and then summer, and then my parents were like, it's going to change all the time, and we're like, Okay, so that was a little different for us. We left from a hot island
to
like a country that changes from winter, spring, summer, fall, and we were like, so that was the shock for us going through those different seasons all the time. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you talking about your parents kind of preparing you, right? So I guess, that was their plan. So they wanted to come here, settle here, and then bring you so that, not all of you have to go through that learning curve. Like it was kind of like you guys, right? So with your parents, when they came here before you guys actually arrived, like, did they tell you, okay, we're gonna go to Canada and then you guys are coming, or like how did it happen? Like,
we were very young. I'm trying to think. I believe they said that the plan is we're gonna go to Canada and eventually, you guys will join us. It just felt like such a long gap when they were away. So we were like, yeah, they ain't coming back for us. We're like, we're gonna stay here. That's it. But
so who was raising you at that time?
My aunt in Jamaica was raising us, and they took care of us. Or sometimes they'd rotate. Maybe we'll go to my dad's sisters, my mom's sisters. So different family would rotate and take care of us.
Nice. And I know because this is very, very similar in a lot of cultures. Because they were here, I take it they were supporting you guys from here while you guys were there, right?
Yeah, they would send items for us, as they call it, the barrel.
Okay.
We'll come home.
Okay, nice.
So Christmas time, you get a barrel, you go through it. They would send us clothes. They would send us food. They took good care of us while they were here. So yeah.
Nice. So Christmas is a big.
The big barrel would come.
Nice. So now you're in Canada, right? And you said it was you and your brother, or two brothers.
Well, my younger brother was born here, so we came and met him for the first time in Canada.
Okay. He was born already, and then when you came, you met him.
We met him.
Wow.
Like, this is your baby brother, and so we met him, and we had to get used to him because it was always just me and my brother, and then we're introduced to another child. We're like, oh, now there's three of us.
Nice.
It was good.
Okay, and then you all went to the same school, or?
Yes, me and my brother.
The younger one was probably a baby.
Yeah, he was still a baby. He was baby, and so me and my brother that was in Jamaica, we went to the same school, different grades, but we traveled together.
And did that help? Like when you came here, because like you said, your language, you didn't fully have it down and everything. So did it help having at least your brother with you?
To be with me and just to experience it and talk to each other. And if he was in a class and the teacher was having a little bit of trouble with him, they would come to get me, and I would go and console him. He had a harder time adapting than I did.
Okay.
So yeah, it was good to be in the same school. So if anything happened, if he needed me, I was there to help him.
Oh, nice. So it sounds like you've been helpful from young.
From young.
And would you say even when you guys were back home, you were kind of like that big sister, but also kind of like a second mother kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, definitely. Anywhere he went, I was always with him, and I had to just always look out for him. So I think I had that.
Yeah, because your parents are there, so you just took on that responsibility, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So we're still going on. We have to go through the journey. I don't want to miss no steps. And the reason why is because here in Wealth Talk, the journey is so important.
Okay.
Right? Like a lot of people could be at that certain point. Like there could be someone that's listening or watching where they just came to Canada, right? And they need to hear that, okay, maybe their language is not fitting, so they say, okay, someone else experienced that, right?
Okay.
So so along when you guys came, you guys are here, you're in school, you guys are I guess growing into the culture. Today you said the snow was the culture shift, but was there anything else that stood out to you from young that still stays in your memory?
The food was a little different as well. I remember the first time we had McDonald's. Okay. We both threw up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I guess the stuff didn't really agree with us. Mayonnaise, I've never had mayonnaise. I remember I ordered the McChicken sandwich.
Okay. And that's what you threw up on?
I threw up.
Yeah. Because in Jamaica, it's a lot of natural
food. We don't have no fries like that. Well, I never experienced that growing up in Jamaica. So that was a shock for us, was the food. It didn't sit too well with us. So my family, my mom just continued to make the stuff that we grew up on at home until our body adjusted and we started to get into the fast food and the pizza, the lasagna, the spaghetti, stuff like that.
Okay, nice. So when you guys came here, like, were your parents already established in terms of like employment? Like, did they already have their work? Like, what did they do to like in terms of work wise?
My dad had his own company. He does heat and air condition, so he was already doing that.
Okay.
I believe at the time he was working with a company, so it was still his field. And my mom was working at, I believe it was a hotel or a fast food restaurant, not sure.
Okay.
But they both were employed.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So you've seen them pretty much, go from your dad. You said he has a company now. So he built his way up. He built
his way up. Yeah.
That's the Canadian dream, right?
Yeah.
And then your mother as well. She started to support him, and then you came up from there as well, right? And then what happened from there? Like, so they're there, they're supporting you. You and your brother are there. You have your younger brother, that's growing up, and like, what about school? Was there anything in school that anything that you came in school that really stood out to you in terms of like, I guess, Canada, because right away you started school right away, I take it, right? Because you were already of age.
Exactly.
Right?
We started right away. School was different. We're in middle school. I believe I was in grade 5 and my brother was in grade 4. What I noticed was they would do the singing of the national anthem, and we had to stand up for that every morning. They also had this music that would play as a warm-up. You had to do the morning exercise, and I don't know, that song just always played in my head. So that was different because they wanted to wake you up. So that was different for school, because me and my brother, we didn't do this in Jamaica. What's going on here? So seeing them always doing the national anthem, they were very strict with that. You really had to stand at attention. We did that back home, but over here I found it very like, if you're sitting, they found it disrespectful.
Yeah. And what about your classmates? Like, were you embraced right away?
No.
Okay, let's get into that.
We were viewed as different. We still didn't speak correct English. So I believe my brother was placed into ESL.
Okay, that's English as second language.
And so just to help him grasp some of the things, because he was really having a hard time. For myself, I was okay, but my grades weren't that good. I remember parent-teacher meetings, they would always say, Simone is here, but she should be here. She's here, but she's making the effort. Yeah. So school for us was a little bit of a struggle.
Okay. Yeah. But the classmates were welcoming, or just?
At first, I found I was a little bit of a loner. I just couldn't connect with anyone. I think they looked at us as weird, just how we spoke, and they would always laugh when I talked. Yeah. So we just kept
It's interesting because I just had a Wealth Talk conversation, and the person I was interviewing, Kathy, she said the exact same thing. And she came from Scotland. So it wasn't
just imagine that accent.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like different countries, you come here and then you have that language. So your parents weren't like, they wanted to get the English going, right? Yeah. And I noticed, like, even with my parents, that was a big deal for them, because even them, they couldn't speak English, but with us, Tree is our native tone, right? But they more wanted us to speak English. They didn't want us to speak Tree. So even now, like, Tree, I'm not the greatest at speaking it.
Because now it's like probably faded for you, eh? You're probably like, oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same time, they wanted me to be accepted. They wanted me and my brothers to be accepted because they wanted to be accepted. Right? Around what time was it that, like, what year was it that your parents came?
They came in the 80s.
80s, probably early 80s or so, or mid 80s?
Mid 80s.
Okay, and then you guys came around what?
In the 90s.
90s?
Yeah.
Early 90s?
Early 90s.
Early 90s, okay. Yeah, and like, the reason why I'm asking that is because, like, even me growing up, I would say I have many Jamaican friends. Like, even when I speak to people, they think I'm Jamaican because, like, all my friends, and we talk, and I guess I sound Jamaican because we're all one people, right? And that helped me actually get like settled in the city, because at first there wasn't many Ghanaians. So Jamaicans, I felt welcome. I felt welcome. With the Jamaican community, right? But I know that was the one barrier and challenge from a lot of people who came into the country is the English language, and making sure you have the English language down, right? So from there, you graduate. And we're going through a story because I know you're an entrepreneur. I know you have the fashion line, so I want to get there. But but right now I want to see. Yeah, exactly. We want to see how we got to that point. Like, were you always like a creative?
I started developing styles at 14.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, when I got to age 14, I started to sketch. My parents would buy the clothes for me, and I didn't really like some of the stuff they bought. I started to like cut them up and change them. Got into a lot of trouble for doing that because they're like, you don't know how we're purchasing these stuff. Can't just be cutting up clothes. But I just thrived doing that stuff. So I started to sketch, started to change some of the garments that they brought me, and I started to develop a love for fashion at around the age of 14.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So what was the first thing that you made?
The first thing I made was a skirt.
Okay.
My aunt sews, and so she saw that I loved it, so she was like, she got me a pattern, and she just said, make a skirt. She showed me how to do it, the basics, on like a regular domestic machine, and so that was the first thing. And I liked it. I was like, this is so cool, just to be able to make something and be able to wear it, and so I wanted to learn more about it, and I had to then study and get the credits to get into fashion school to do
so I think that's where you went. That's the next step you made, right? Was that from high school or after high school? And when did you start the fashion school?
Well, in high school they offered some fashion courses, so I took a few there. But to get more serious in it with the sewing, the construction, I then went on to college. For that, like a private college that focus only on making clothes. So that really helped me. My parents saw that I was good at it. They saw that I loved it, and they invested and said, all right, we're sending you to school to do that.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Now I want you to talk about that though. Like, how important was that your parents supported you? Oh
man, that was really important because they had other dreams for me. They were like, be a lawyer or a doctor, those big things. And they just scared me, those things. I was like, I thought I couldn't do that. I was like, no, that takes a lot of brains and a lot of, I can't, I thought really I wasn't up to doing that stuff. And, they really had to think about it. They're like, so you're going to do this as a living? What's the end goal? So I just said, I will be able to do something from this, have a store one day, maybe have customers one-on-one. Had to let them see that there is something in this. So they saw it and they're like, all right, let's give it a go.
Nice. No, that's amazing because I know so many people that have dreams and their dreams are shattered just by the people that they love. And it's not that the parents are discouraging you. It's just that they want the best for
them,
right? And in your case, it's so good that they encourage you to do that because I seen your clothing.
My stuff. I know we did a show together one time.
Yeah, for sure. And with that show, I got to see the different styles, but not only that though, I also got to see your ambition. Where did you get that from?
Both my parents. So much more, I guess everybody says my dad because he has his own company and he likes to be his own boss, not report to anybody. And I kind of like that as well. And so I wanted to do my own line and just, branch off in that direction as opposed to working for a fashion company. So I think that I got that from him just to watch how he operates, although it's eating and hair condition and fashion, but just the operation and how to get into it, the operational view is the same.
And so getting up and going and working on your own, it's not an easy thing to do because when you're working for someone, you have a time that you got to be there. But when you're working on your own time, you decide that time.
You're the boss.
Right? Exactly. And it feels good. I agree with you for sure.
It felt good, So I was able to do that for a little bit, just build my clientele, do a portfolio, meet with clients, give them what they want, especially like wedding dresses, prom dresses.
Nice.
I really thrive on doing those one-off pieces. So that really motivated me to keep going.
So you're still doing that now, right?
Yes, I'm still doing that right now. So more one-on-one clients. So people would call me and say, hey, I have this event coming up. Hey, I have this coming up. And I make outfits accordingly to what they need.
What they're asking for. That's nice. And, with the showcase, that we had, and that's where we actually got to grow our relationship. And, the different patterns and the things that you have, it's not something that anybody see. Like it's not out there.
I tried not to do that. I do one-off pieces. So when people wear the garments, people look and they ask like, hey, that's a nice skirt, that's a nice dress, where'd you get that? Those are the things that make you stand out.
Okay,
you know,
nice,
one-off
nice,
pieces.
nice. So when you're making it, that's what's in your mind.
That's what I think.
Okay,
yeah,
nice,
I'm like,
nice,
this
nice.
got to be different. Sometimes I sketch something, and by the time I'm sewing it, it's totally different from the sketch because something new comes to me.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, no straps. Okay, make the straps this way, and then it's totally different. So I'm constantly changing my designs. All the time.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So from the fashion line, you know, after that, what I've known you is what you're known mainly for now as you said, a mental health advocate.
Yeah.
You know, so let's get into that, right? I want to get into, you know, why this is so important to you. You know, what started this, you know, and, you know, when did you first realize that, you know, this is something that you had, right? And who else had it or whatever, and why do you feel that it's so important to speak about? Because from when you were talking about it, it wasn't so mainstream, but now everyone's starting to be like become aware.
It's true.
Right? So what was it that made you start with this journey?
Well, being a mental health advocate, I personally went through it. From the fashion business, it wasn't booming as much. It's not consistent, so I decided to go to work for a company. And working on a job for 5 years, I then became the victim of workplace harassment and bullying. People are like, that doesn't exist. They only hear of like school bullying, kids bullying, but it happens in the workplace.
Oh yeah.
And so that's what did it for me.
Can you just go a little more in detail in terms of
what it is?
What happened?
What happened with workplace harassment and bullying is the supervisor or the manager that I had at the time would nitpick all my work, single me out, verbal abuse in like areas like this where you're one-on-one, and the coaching sessions would not be coaching, it would be very belittling, degrading. That went on for 2 to 3 years, and it was my first like real good proper job, you know, and I just felt like that's how it was supposed to be. I didn't say anything. I was like, this is how it is.
Okay.
You know, but it started to take a toll on my health, and I started to show signs of anxiety, depression, and I started to speak to my coworkers and ask them, are you also experiencing this? Does the manager treat you like this? And they were like looking at me like, no, what the heck?
Oh, wow.
And so I realized, yeah, this is not right. So went to see my family doctor and just explained what was going on. And they're like, what you're experiencing is workplace harassment and bullying, and you have anxiety and depression. So right away, that one visit, so much that he just hit me with, I was like, what are you talking about? And just to hear the words depression and anxiety, I was like, no, that's not it. Come on. He's just like, yes, it is. And so I was diagnosed right then and there, and he advised me to take some time off work or switch departments to get away from the behavior that was being inflicted on me, but I didn't listen.
Okay.
I was like, doctor doesn't know what he's talking about, and I continued to work, and I should have listened. So if anybody's going through that continued, and you got to listen to your doctor and know your body, because having him say that I had the anxiety and depression, I wouldn't accept that diagnosis. I started to think, how do I tell my parents that I have anxiety and depression? Because the background of Jamaicans, we don't get that. That's not something we get automatically. You know, I just felt the stigma with that. So I said nothing. The doctor didn't know. So I continued to work. And my last encounter at that toxic environment, October 6, 2009, I'll never forget that date. Anyways,
what happened?
My last encounter with the manager, it was very, very bad. They said some things that you can't really say those stuff to employees. You don't talk to people like that. And I just broke down crying, and I said to them in front of the manager, and I was like, what is going on here? And they just laughed. They just looked at me like they didn't have no empathy or no compassion. If somebody's broken down like that, explain yourself. Explain why this is happening. Why are you treating them that way? But they didn't. They just said, you're having a hard day. Leave and go home. So I was told to leave early. I had the rest of the day off. Driving home that day, everything just replayed in my mind. conversation that built up to this, and I just felt I'm such a failure. They're right. I am stupid. I am dumb. I can't work. I can't do this. Everything they said, I just kept it on. I took it on. And I was just driving, and you just hear it. You see this in movies sometimes. You know, you just hear those thoughts. And I was just driving. I wasn't paying attention to anything, just driving. And I got to a red light, and I remember I was crying so hard, and I just stepped on the gas, and I just drove into the middle of the busy intersection, and I just stopped the car.
Hold on a second. Oncoming traffic?
Oncoming traffic.
Wow.
I just decided then and there, I was like,
so what was, when you did that, what was your reason for doing that? Did you want someone to hit you?
My goal was to end my life. I was like, I don't care. I should just end my life. This is it. Do it this way. It just happened so fast. Like when I was in the road, and it just stopped. And I remember cars were like, I don't know. I've never seen something like that where nobody hit me. I was like, nobody would hit me. And then this guy stopped his car, and he came and he knocked on my window, and he goes, "What's going on? Are you crazy? What are you doing?" And I just sat there, and I realized it's like I came back to self, and I looked around like, gosh, I'm in the middle of the road.
Wow.
And I just broke down crying, and he said, "Can I call somebody for you? Police are gonna come, ambulance." Because people were just looking at me like, what's wrong with this girl in the middle of the road?
So you just parked there?
Just parked the car, guy. I'm like, somebody must hit me. Like,
the
more I think about it, but now sometimes I laugh about it, but because I just can't understand how I wasn't hit.
Yeah.
You know,
purpose.
I wasn't hit. That was my first attempt. My first attempt. And eventually my parents were called, my mom came, everybody came, and I was brought to the doctor the next day. Same doctor who diagnosed me. And when I told him what happened, he's like, "Yeah, saw this coming. I told you to take some time off work or to switch departments, and you snapped. What you had was what we call, you snapped. I was trying to avoid you getting to that point." Never listened. He saw that what was coming.
Okay. And your parents didn't know, because you said you didn't share it with your parents.
So now they found out.
Yeah.
Because they came up to the doctor, and when he was telling me stuff, he's just like, he was looking at them like, "Oh, you don't know. Well, now you told them, so now they know."
Okay, so and obviously they took it serious because of the incident that happened. Right? If you told them before, they probably would have said, "Oh, what are you talking about?"
Exactly.
Right?
Go to work, make the money, don't be soft. So I never said anything, but right away, my mom, she was a nurse at that time. She was seeing some of the symptoms, and she took it seriously. My dad didn't understand it. It had to be explained to him many times, what is depression? What made me do that? Because he couldn't understand how somebody would want to end their life. Yeah. So it took him a while to get it. But that was my first step, and since then,
so then what happened from there? Like, let's go. So that happened, you got diagnosed. What happened next?
I was off work right away. The doctor's like, "You're not fit to work. Can't work." So right away I was on, I guess at that time it was long-term disability. So that just put me more into my depression and my anxiety, because now I'm not working. Now I'm just sitting here. Now I'm on suicidal watch. I can't focus. I can't do anything with my life. You know, I was told to see a therapist, which I was, meds, but nothing was consistent. And I was just going down. So that led to a few other attempts, again, unsuccessful. I'm here.
Yeah, thank God.
You know, and so it got to the point where my last attempt, my mom just had it with me. She came to my room and she goes, "Have you ever thought of what life would be like without you in the picture?" And it was kind of like, I looked at her like, huh? I never thought of that, you know? And she's like, she was crying. She was so emotional because she just couldn't understand why I kept trying to hurt myself. And she was like, "Have you ever thought of what pain you would leave the family? Funeral, this." And she just went on, and people were going to wonder, what's going on in that family? Why did this girl have to do this? And I said, "No, I never thought of that." And she says, "You're my only daughter. I have 3 kids. You're the only girl. Think of us. If you're going to try and heal and get better, do it for us if you don't want to do it for you, but do it for us." And it just turned something inside of me. And from that day, I said, all right, give it a try. So I was consistent with meds, consistent with doctor's appointments, tried to, leave the darkness and go to the light. And I felt others were out there just like me, and it then led to where I am. I'm fast forwarding a little, but that
No, let's not fast forward. We have to go, because you're the advocate. You're the advocate,
but
so
that's what it
for sure, we got to go through. So that turned something in you. So you're like, so I think you probably meant, that's true. Did you see yourself after that as you were being selfish in a way?
That's what she said to me, and I was like, I don't think it's selfish, because sometimes people who are diagnosed with, anxiety and depression, there's a pain inside that they just want to end. They just want to numb that pain. It's hard to explain. It's almost like a scratch, and you have to touch it. It's hard not to. And it's not selfish. You think of that release. A lot of people always ask, how do you get to that point to think, end my life? It's anything to end that pain. Like alcoholics, I need a beer. You need that thing, that release. And so that was my release. End this suffering by taking that avenue. So I said to her, no, I'm not being selfish. And she said I was. And a lot of people get that. Those who have been diagnosed and been through suicidal ideals, they are told that they're being selfish. But if you don't understand what leads them there, you can't say that. You can't say that.
So what is it?
It's just, as I said, it's that you get to an all-time low where you don't feel worthy of this life. You don't feel that you really belong here. And it's best to exit and leave, take yourself out of that.
So do you think if your manager was more, encouraging to you and, more uplifting, do you feel that you would have the same thing? Because it seems like he was it he or she? I don't know. Well,
I can't say.
Okay, that's fine. But anyways, do you feel that they kind of broke you down?
Oh, definitely broke me. It's like a hammer on that nail every day. Just imagine going through that.
Like some days you didn't even want to go, but you still went, and then you get broken down more, and then broken down more, and
like
more and more.
And more.
I get what you're saying, and then thank God for your mom to have that conversation with you, and then it turned things around. So then when you turn things around, were you like, okay, there's other people that are probably feeling the same way? And is that what got you to start writing your book?
Yeah, because while I was going through my depression, I kept a journal. So I wrote a lot of poetry. I wrote how I was feeling as a way to release, another way to find an outlet. So definitely, and I would bring my poems to my therapist appointment. They would read them, ask me to read them. It was a way to get to my healing, get through my healing. Nice. So eventually my therapist said, these poems are quite good. And I was like, what are you talking about? These are dark, sad poems. They're like, no, these are really good. From you first came, they were dark, but as we're getting closer to the end of your session, there's light, there's showing progress, transgression. You should consider publishing. I thought they were joking. I was like, why would you say that? I should consider publishing. And they said, no, seriously, people need to see this, what it looks like, how it grows, how it gets better. And so I took their advice, put a little manuscript together, sent it to 15 publishers, and out of the 15, one picked it up. One said yes. Sometimes you just need that one.
And you need that one.
Just one. And they said they wanted to publish the book because it was so raw. And they couldn't believe I was willing to put myself out there like that. And they had somebody in their family who also experienced it. And she hasn't seen something like this on the market. So from there, birthed my book, Poetic Diary of a Bleeding Heart.
And it's available everywhere as well.
Amazon, your local bookstores. It's been doing really, really good. I've been getting great feedback.
Along with the book, you also have annual events, and you do many things to spread that word, right?
Yes, through my charity. So from the book, I then decided to, what can I do for others? Register my charity, Essence of Mind outreach program. To help families and individuals, because while I was going through it, I was on waiting list for like 6 months to see a psychotherapist, to see a psychologist, and I was like, by the time you see them, you're worse than you were, or you don't make it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was like, no, this is ridiculous. So through my charity, we help to connect you faster. We do seminars, we educate family, we have that conversation, that dialogue, the fundraising gala, as you mentioned. We try to just have the conversation going, especially in the Black community, because I saw how my family reacted, and so I didn't want others to go through that, and so that's what my charity does.
Okay, nice. So, from when you had this book, I want you to talk about, like others. I'm sure probably other people have came to you and said that, this story touched them. Maybe they were in a similar situation or something like that. Go into that. Like, have you been approached by people? Like,
especially when I'm invited to a workplace to talk. After the talk, I'm always pulled to the side, and people are crying or being like, "I'm going through that right now." Right now, I have a manager who's just like that manager you described. What should I do? What do you suggest? And I give them suggestions and what to do and things like that. But the fact that they know that they're not alone, they're like, oh, it does exist. You went through it, so okay, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It exists, and it makes them feel better to know that I went through it and I'm still here. So they take those little tips and suggestions to, have that conversation with their manager and try to maybe see the doctor and notice those signs of depression and anxiety. Don't ignore them.
Yeah.
So I've been approached quite a few times.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that the people who approach you, it's after they pull you to the side.
Yeah.
So why is it that people, it seems like people keep it to themselves? And the only reason why they opened up to you is because...
Yeah, I've now
shared. Exactly.
Yeah.
So why do you think this is?
Well, as I mentioned, workplace bullying is something hard to prove. It's a professional environment. It's really hard to prove. You can't just say, oh, my manager called me stupid. Anybody could say that. You have to have proof. These are words. Did anybody hear them? Did anybody see? And so, and also because it's a work environment, they don't want to be viewed as weak or possibly termination.
Yeah, losing their job. They're scared of losing it. Okay.
It's not like a school where you can go to the principal's office and suspension.
But they have HR though, right?
Yes, HR intervenes and investigate these matters. Because eventually my matter was investigated because of how big it got. But people are scared. This is their bread and butter. And another reason why I didn't listen to the doctor. I was like, I can't stop working. I need money. So I believe it's that fear of losing something good that they have and being viewed as different or weak.
But now it's more, more people are recognizing it, and thanks to people like yourself, that's actually getting the word out there and having people feel comfortable and going out and sharing these things, right? And you actually, like you said, the fact that you're still here, right? So now it's a different perspective. So now, before maybe people had the mental health issues and then they will end their life.
Yeah.
But now people will have this situation and say if they meet someone like yourself, then they'll be like, okay, how do I get from here to there to the end? So how do you do that? How do you help them get from that point, that dark point to the light? Exactly.
Yeah, I think just being an inspiration, if I can touch one person, I remember I spoke at the school. This really stuck with me. After I had a talk about my story, this young girl took me to the side and told me last night she thought of committing suicide, and she was on successful, and there's a reason why she's here today to hear me. She didn't know there was a special guest speaker. And just to hear that, she said it blew her mind to know that she had an attempt, she wasn't successful, but to come the next day to hear me talk, she just broke down crying and said, this is just so mind-blowing. And it really encouraged her to not go back to that dark place. The tips that I shared with her, suggestions that I shared with her, she just realized that she has purpose. And sometimes people just need to see somebody that's on that same path as them. Like if they can fly, I can fly too. And so those are some of the things I try to leave with my listeners or anywhere that I go, is that it's not easy. It's not. Because people look at me like, oh, you're good now, right? You're nice. No. I'm just in a place where I control the illness. It doesn't control me. Before it was controlling me, but now I've You know, when you pin somebody on the floor, you switch and now you're on top.
Yeah.
That's what
now
I feel
you're in control.
like.
So when you recognize, like, oh, no, hold on.
Yeah, exactly. You have to know the signs like, nope, not today. Because some mornings I'm in bed and I don't want to get out of bed, but I think of, you know, how great life is and I am alive. And positive affirmations motivate me to go out there and just to, you know, speak to somebody or do something positive. So
nice.
It's a daily progress.
That's good. That's good. Like even so the lady, you said you gave her tips and you gave her suggestions.
Yes,
Can we go over some of those? Like if there's listeners or viewers, like what are the tips? What are the suggestions?
What I suggested to her was daily affirmations, which is something in my book. I have 2 pages full of daily affirmations where you say like, life is wonderful, or I'm blessed to be alive. Just look into your eyes and just speak life into yourself. Because I had to do that after the tormentor, that's what I call the manager, broke me down. I had to like build Simone back up, take away those things that they said, like you're worthless. No, you're valuable, you're loved. You know, you have to like pour all those things in yourself. Have a buddy that you can always rely on or text. People know me, know that I love to laugh. I have friends that always send me little funny videos or funny jokes and stuff like that. My youth pastor at my church at the time would always check in with me, and sometimes if they didn't hear from me, they would call. So always have somebody send you a message to check on you, just to make sure you don't, you know, wander off or get into that dark place. Volunteer. I found I was always in the darkness. I was always at home, so I tried to come out and volunteer in the community, at the hospital. I find when you're around other people, it does something to your mood, uplifts your spirit, just to be engaging with others. Those are the things I suggested. And just keeping a little journal, just to write down some of your thoughts, things that you want to do, things of how you felt, and just leave it in that book. It's almost like you're flushing your system. So those are some of the things I suggested to her, and also gave her some online websites, therapists to call, because she needed more than what I was giving her.
Because she was almost at that point.
She was very at that point. I also made it a duty to follow up with that school on her, just to see if she was still active, and she still is. Because it really scared me. And sometimes when you know somebody is bringing harm because she's a student, I had to, you know, try and let the school kind of keep an eye on that one in a way where it didn't breach her privacy, because she was confiding in me.
And were her parents aware, or was she doing the same thing where she was kind of like not telling her parents?
No,
she didn't tell her parents.
No, I believe she told the guidance counselor at the school, but not her family, because she says her background is similar to mine, and they don't believe in those things.
See, and that could be dangerous in a way, because, you know, it's like the fact that they don't believe in it, but you need, like you said, they need someone to talk to. Right? And the best people is always your family.
Always.
Right?
That's the first point.
Right? And you know, in that case, it's good that you're being that extended hand. You know, like you reach out to these people, and, you know, like give them, I guess, extra encouragement and let them know that they're valuable, right?
Valuable. People need to hear that. Sometimes they just need to hear that. I find that just a kind word, because my thing is, the tongue is a small thing, but what enormous damage it can do. You know, or you speak in life or death. And look at my situation. My dad just said, so it was just words? This manager just got you with words? No. People look at it like it's just words, but words have power.
Words have power, for sure. They could definitely, you know, steer someone the wrong way because the words transfer into you, and if it doesn't resonate with you, you're gonna feel a certain way, right? And it's surprising, because like even yourself, like even from what I know, you always see smiling, always see things. So I would have no idea, right? So there's even people out there probably smiling, happy, but nobody has any idea on the inside, you know, I guess because you keep it to yourself. Is that what it?
And presentation, because a mental illness, you can't see it. It's not like a broken arm. You're wearing a cast where it'll be like, hey, what happened to your arm? You see it right away. But with a mental illness, you don't see it. I look at it as the silent killer, the invisible illness. You can't see it. So when people read my book, when it came out, people came up to me like, I had no idea you went through this. I'm your friend. You didn't even tell me. A lot of people didn't know. They were like, you go to church, you dress so nice, you're always smiling. Nobody would think this. And so I got a lot of people wanting to talk about it after that, because they're like, you did that well, girl. I don't know how you did it, but even though you're saying, you know, but there's something inside of you that you have to present a certain way. Because, for example, look at the celebrities like Robin Williams. He committed suicide, and everybody's like, he had money, was always happy, he's a funny man. You don't know what's on the inside, and that's what makes it so hard. So always be kind to people, always check on that strong friend, because maybe they're not so strong, but they're presenting strong. So there's a lot of things that you have to look for, and I try to let others, start that conversation, because it's very, very important. Very important.
Because I think everybody kind of has a moment where, they kind of want to do themselves harm. Even if it's just a quick thought, I think it happens to everybody, right? And I think one of the reasons why that is so that we can really get a clear perspective on our lives, because if you're considering ending it, right, then when you really think about it, okay, why am I here?
Why am I here?
Have you had?
Yes,
okay.
I had those conversations. I said that was my final attempt. I broke down and I said, okay, God, if I'm gonna be here, you got to show me, why am I here? Why do you keep saving me? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? It was bad. You have to wonder, why am I here? And so it was just to do that. It's like he just said, you're gonna speak to people. Your people need to hear your testimony and see the things that, have brought you through. And so I just had to start to go in that positive direction of building myself up. Sometimes you have to break to get to that point where you're like, I'm good. And he had to break me, because I was broken. I was pretty broken.
Wow.
And so you have come to that point where you're like, why am I here? What's my purpose in life? You know? I'm still on that journey. Whoever I speak to, whoever I can touch, I think it makes a difference I even just touch one person to say, because of you, I'm here, and I'm so glad you share your story. So that does it for me.
And that's amazing, because you had to go through that to find your purpose.
To find my purpose.
Exactly.
Sometimes you look back like, could it have happened a different way? Did all of that have to happen? I start to look at it like, maybe I wasn't supposed to work there, because where I am now, I work for another company and I'm like happy. My manager talks about mental health. The workplace has events where, we have awareness, and it's like a whole different world. It's like I had to go through that to get here. It's almost like a map. You have to navigate through some things to get here. And so I look at it like it had to happen that way. Because I'm not a speaker, I'm not a public speaker. People look at me, I'm very shy, I'm very, introverted. So I never pictured myself going to schools and talking and stuff like that. And these are things that I'm doing now that I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
No, and to be honest, with Wealth Talk, that's another reason why I really had this platform, because I feel everybody is so important, right? And everyone has a story. To be shared, right? And your story, you just sharing that right now, I know listeners and people are gonna hear it, and it's gonna touch them in a way, because we all have value to us. We all have value, and if you don't know your value, give it time. And you're talking about the map, and then just plug in the map book. But that's what it's about, right? It's about just the journey, and understanding, okay, what do you really want out of life, right? And then going towards that, right? And sometimes you don't know what you want, right? So eventually, it's like a discovery.
It is a discovery. Because there's a lot of things I discovered about myself that I didn't know I had, like, the public speaking, and to be able to publish a book, and to, encourage other people, and little things like that. I was like, is this really me? And so you brings out something in you that you never knew you had. It was there all along, but certain things had to pull it out.
And you had to come out to do that. You had to put yourself out there. You have to go do the speaking. Even though, like you said, you're very shy. But you have that purpose. So regardless if you're shy or not, it's not just only about you. It's about everyone else. The people that you're going to touch, the people that you're going to reach. So I commend you on that, because I see you're very active, and you have many different events, and you're always offering yourself. When I reached out to you right away, you wanted to come and talk more about this. So I see you have the passion in you. So in terms of passion, how do you find your passion? Just for anybody that's watching or listening, how do you find your passion? You had to go through, obviously, the lowest of lows, but like, let's say there's someone and it's not even related to mental health, because I think everything's connected in a way, right? But some people do have, something that maybe they don't realize or something like that, but it becomes their passion. How do you find your passion?
Well, with passion, it's something that beams you up, that just brings you joy, that just motivates you, and you're just like, I don't know, but I enjoy doing that. It makes you feel different. Like with me, with the sketching at 14, I always did that. I just always enjoyed it at such a young age. I didn't play a lot with kids. I was always just drawn to that. And once you find your passion, you just realize that it's something you love to do, even if it's for free. I was like sewing stuff back then, just for fun and giving it away to people. I didn't look at money. I was just looking at like how it made me feel and just seeing the smiling faces and how it contributed to others' lives. So finding that passion is anything that just beams you up and just makes you feel like, all right, I'm ready to do this. Just motivates you and pumps you up, and that end result, just seeing that I actually made a difference in that person's life.
Yeah, no, and I like that you said that you would even do it for free, right? Because most of the time, when people are thinking about doing things, they want to feel, okay, I can't get paid for that, so that makes no sense.
Exactly.
Right? So exactly, But of course, because we need to make a living. Yeah. But what you said about the passion, you have to feel joy right? And joy is more important than actually passion. Would you say, right? Joy is more important.
Definitely, because that's affecting others. You can come in and how you feel your joy just rubs off on other people, and so having that passion, if the joy is there, that factor of just making others happy, because I did a lot of things just for fun and just for free or whatever. I never looked at money or getting recognition. Even to publish a book, I was like, I'm not like a big name. Who's going to know me? But just having people say, your book has really motivated me and changed me and stuff, that does it for me. Just hearing those words, that really helps me a lot. So,
Okay. All right, Simone, thank you so much, for coming on to Wealth Talk. And with Wealth Talk, we don't just want this to be the only one. We want you to come back, share with us more stories, more success stories, more lives that you saved, and everything like that. But, right now, if you can, just please share, how do people get a hold of you? Like, say someone could be in the same situation, they need to talk to you, right? Or they want a message or something. So how do we get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook as my name, Simone Walsh. Also Instagram, the same name. You can also visit my website for our charity, which is myessenceofmind.org, and you can email us that way as well. We have quite a few programs that can help you if you're looking for a therapist, if you're looking for a speaker, any events, mental health related, we can definitely help you with that. So those are my current outlets. And also my book, Poetic Diary of a Bleeding Heart. You can find it at local chapters, Indigo, and on Amazon.
Okay. Before we wrap up, I want you to go more into charity. Why was it important that you started a charity?
Well, it was important to me because I wanted something in that community. I did some research and just saw what was out there, and I didn't feel they were quite helpful. So I wanted something different. They weren't doing things that I wanted to see and that I felt I needed to help me on my healing, like seminars or connecting me with a therapist that was of color. I wanted somebody who looked like me, who I could talk to, and things like that. Medication, education, like what are the meds that you're taking? What do they do? I wanted something different. And so I was like, let's register a charity and do things a little different.
So it's from your experience.
It's from my experience.
When you went through, you didn't have any of these things.
I didn't have any of these things.
So everything that you're looking for, that's what you're doing.
That's what you're going to get with my charity.
Okay, for sure. So, and people can, I guess, donate to your charity?
Yes, you can do that on our website, myessenceofmind.org. There's a donate button. With what's happening right now, we greatly appreciate your donation. So definitely, whatever you can give, we gladly appreciate it.
Yeah, because right now the COVID thing has just happened, so a lot of people are actually lost their jobs, and they're I guess they're in that in that space by themselves, trying to figure out what's next. So you're a great outlet for them to actually reach out to and see how to get to that next level.
Exactly. Okay. Definitely. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Okay, no, I thank you. I appreciate you. And yes, Poetic Diary of a Bleeding Heart. You know, please look into this book and take mental health seriously. I think that's what we came right now. Like, it's not just if someone's talking and saying, words are powerful. You know, words can hurt. You know, and there's a lot of other things. So if someone's smiling, it doesn't necessarily mean that
they're okay.
Inside they're okay. You know, like, you shared a lot of things for people to really go out and pay attention to. So I think, you know, we need to talk to each other more. You know, and see how we can make other people more happy.
Yeah, especially with the COVID right now, I've told that mental illness is on a rise because we've been so isolated for so long. So definitely check on your loved ones, make that phone call, and now more than ever is that time to connect, because you know, isolation can lead you into mental illness and depression. So definitely now is the time to take this seriously and to speak to those that you love.
Yeah, mental is a part of your wealth, your well-being, you know, and take it serious. And if you're in a situation where you feel that you have that diagnosis, because even in your case, you didn't believe it at first.
I didn't believe it.
Right? So, you know, like, now that, you know, you've expressed yourself,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully, you know, it touches with other people, and maybe they may come to that same realization.
Yes.
And hopefully they reach out to you.
Yeah, reach out to me, and also see your doctor when you have those symptoms. The body knows, so listen to your body. You know your body well, so when you notice something is not right, check it out and act upon those things.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Wealth Talk, an amazing episode. Thank you, Simone. And again, we will be here together again. Share more stories with us, all right?
Look forward to it. Thank you again.
All right, God bless. Thank you.